Social media feels like a job you never applied for. This coaching session today is for you because one of the biggest lies entrepreneurs are believing right now is that building the know, like, and trust factor requires them to be online constantly, posting nonstop, checking engagement, trying to keep up, hoping somebody notices, and eventually it starts to feel like you're doing a whole lot of work for very little return. Well, today you're in luck because I'm coaching an entrepreneur just like you. I want you to listen as we uncover why visibility feels so exhausting, what is actually making consistency hard sometimes, and how to build audience trust without living on social media. Carrie, thank you so much for being here to do this live coaching session with me. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I also know that your questions are going to help everyone that is watching and then listening on the podcast so much. So if you don't mind, take a second and tell everybody who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them.
Hey, Tracy, thanks so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here. I'm Carrie Baquier. I am the founder of Wildly Whole Woman, helping women reconnect to the truth of who they are underneath the shoulds, the expectations, the self-doubt, all that junk that gets in the way. And as they do reconnect to that truth, they find that wild spark within them that's uniquely theirs. And together we breathe life into it. Specifically, I'm helping women in business stop avoiding, stop hiding, stop procrastinating, and make meaningful traction in their business.
Wow, those shoulds. Golly, that's a whole
Yeah.
episode in and of itself. The shoulds, the shoulds, the shoulds. Because for women, I feel like we've got the shoulds, we've got the guilt, and then might have mom guilt on top of that. Oh, man.
And so many expectations coming from so many different directions. It's literally exhausting.
Yes, it is. Sounds a lot like
Yeah.
social media, which is what we're talking about today. So you mentioned when we were getting together for this episode and planning what you'd like to have coaching on, you mentioned wanting to have help with social media and specifically the best place that you could put your energy to build that know, like, and trust with your audience without being online 24/7. And you also mentioned feeling invisible, like you are just screaming into the void. And I want to tell you, I hear that a lot. You are absolutely not alone feeling that way. And before we dive, I want to share real quick though, before we dive in and fully unpack this for our audience. These are all things that I teach my students in Business Visibility Made Easy. That's my 8-week group coaching program. And the doors are open now for our June 1st round. So I do hope, as I mentioned to you before we hit the record button, I do hope you'll consider joining us because I think it would be super impactful. And all of those listening, if you're on YouTube, the doors are open. If you're listening on the podcast, we're a couple of months behind in production. So this will air probably at a time when you can get on the VIP wait list. But let's dive in. Carrie, I want to give everybody, and I want to get an honest picture myself of what your online visibility looks like right now. So where would you say that you're showing up consistently, and where does it feel inconsistent? Where does it feel messy?
Where I'm showing up consistently is not necessarily on social media. It's with my email audience. It's my newsletters and talking to them because I know them and they know me, and I love being in conversation with them. And
Mhm.
like you said, uh, and you said it so perfectly, partly because I gave you some of the words, but I think also because lots of people are saying it. I feel like on social media, the motivation is low
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm talking into the void. I'm like, hello, is anyone out there?
Right.
And so I've been toe dipping more recently. Um, and I have a goal of, doing 5 posts this week. And yet it it's been very slow in terms of uh, it's been very inconsistent, right?
Got
It's kind of like you throw it out there and see what happens. But I also know that part of the problem is tossing it out there and then going silent, tossing it out there and then going silent. But I don't know how to
Yeah.
achieve the balance because it feels like such a time suck.
Yeah, I get it. It does. But when you have the right strategy behind it and you start to see it convert for you into more list growth and more leads, that's where the motivation kind of helps. It's like that's what gives you the motivation to keep going, but it does take a while to get there. So, if I'm understanding you correctly, are you emailing your list consistently and that's on repeat and you're good week in, week
Mhm.
out with that?
Mhm. Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Perfect. Okay. So it's really this the social media piece, it sounds like. Are you so what I one of the things I help my students understand is that depending on their bandwidth, like I have an assistant. That is the only reason why I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and now Substack. But I am not fully active on all of those platforms. I can't be. There's only one of me. Um, my place of activity is Facebook because that's where I've built my multi six figure business, primarily because of Facebook groups. So when it comes to platforms, is it a situation where you might be trying to be on too many platforms at one time as a solopreneur, or you've chosen one platform and you're going all in on it?
I think the first step is posting at all. I think the second piece is I have heard time and time again, go deep on one. I
Yes.
just am not sure where my audience is. And therefore I have a little, it's like my nervous system does not want to just stay on one because what if they're somewhere else?
Yeah.
Right. And so it gets in the way. And so I'm putting in Instagram, and because you got to post to Instagram first because it doesn't like you posting anywhere else, and then you wait a day and then you post everywhere else, and I mean it's just silly.
Yeah. It kind of is, and I'm not sure that that's I'm not sure that what you've heard is exactly accurate. Now, I am not,
Okay,
caveat, I am not an Instagram expert, but my platform where I have built my business for the last 6 to 7 years is Facebook. And
okay,
Instagram and LinkedIn are afterthoughts for me. So we create content for Instagram and LinkedIn, and the content you see on LinkedIn will go on Instagram the next week. So I don't know that that rule is it may be an old rule or something someone just felt like was the case, but I'm not sure that's exactly accurate. So the one thing I will say is I would encourage you to pick the one platform, because what happens to my students is if they try to be on more than one platform at a time, trying to post 7 days a week, then they get exhausted and they stop everything. I would
mm,
rather you pick one platform, go all in on it, get it working consistently for you, and that content with strategy behind it. And when I say strategy behind it, the strategy needs to be list growth, bringing in leads, and that includes DM conversations or engagement. Those are the things that we're looking for. And
mhm.
I love Facebook. I know for sure that your ideal clients are there. And what I love about the platform is the fact that it gives us groups, because Instagram doesn't have groups where we can be visible to other people and allow them and use attraction marketing to allow them to come to us versus constantly feeling like we're having to go after people. So I also hear this though too. One of the biggest reasons why visibility can feel so exhausting is because my students are treating it like one giant vague task that they're calling social media. But visibility visibility isn't just one task. It's a very few specific jobs where we're trying to create value, build trust, start conversations, whether that's in the inbox or in the DMs, and then moving people with that attraction marketing in those conversations deeper into your world where we convert them into buyers faster. So it's important to set up a strategic system for you to create that content week in, week out with that strategy behind it, leading to those conversations. Because when all that gets lumped together, which is what it felt like for me 6 and 7 years ago when I was starting out, I felt like all that was lumped together. It felt like a monster. So I was going to ask you what feels hardest to you at this stage with social media. Um, it sounds like it's the creation of the content, obviously, the consistency of posting. When you are creating the content and you are posting, are you doing engagement in the comments or in the DMs with the people that are commenting or liking or hearting?
Okay. So as a solopreneur, there's so many things going on, right? There's so many moving pieces,
Yes.
and the creativity. Um, the space for creativity feels challenged, right? So that's the first piece.
Okay.
And then, and then um, I am doing some light engagement after I post. And you
Uh-huh.
asked if I'm engaging with people who comment after I post.
Hmm.
Now, generally speaking, yes. And the engagement is low.
Yep. Yep. Okay. And that would be a situation where um, because I have students say that too, and that's where I tell them, give me an example of one of your posts, put it into our student group, let me look at it, because sometimes we think our post is the ask for the engagement is obvious in the copy that we wrote, and a lot of times it's not, and it's just a few
Mhm.
simple tweaks to get people to respond. So when it comes to creating your content, do you have a regular piece of weekly content that you do every single week? And the pieces I mean are, do you go live? Do you have a podcast? Are you writing a blog?
No, no. Now I am a writer, right? I like to write. And I would love to, I had a blog at one point, and I would love to step back into that and have that long form piece of content.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's that creativity issue where I'm
Okay.
challenged to find the mental space to creatively flow. And I'm not being a perfectionist here. I'm just what I'm saying is that space, that flow doesn't come as easily as I'd like. There's times when I've created space in my calendar, and it's been an easier week or a quieter week, and I'm like right at it, right? Like it's going well and it flows, and that's
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
I I suspect what you're going to suggest is a system to create that creativity.
Yes. It's a system to create the content week in, week out. It's one of many strategies that I'm known for. And it's one that we go deep in with my students because of the exact reason that you just said. And it happened to me too, Carrie. The reason why I have developed the strategy that I have for creating the content consistently week in, week out is because, and you know this because you know my story, we've been in the same circles now for a long time. I built this business alongside my corporate job
Okay.
and two busy kids. They were high school and middle school at the time. They played every sport that had a ball. And I had a very stressful corporate sales job that sometimes was a
Mhm.
12-hour day job. Then you add on top of it the kids stuff. So my time was super limited to create the
Mhm.
content. But I knew I had to create the content consistently to get the favor of the algorithm, to become known for something as an authority in the space with my audience and pull them to my email list. I knew that had to happen, or I was not going to have anybody to sell to. And so, the reason why I ask about your regular piece of weekly content, it's important to pick one thing that you are going to do week in, week out without fail, and then we set up a system for you to get everything else you need for the week out of that one piece. So let me kind of just give you a high level view of this. And I do have a free resource that's out there. You may already have it. You can go to tracybeavers.com/social and grab it, but it walks through the high level part of what I'm going to share. And then in the coaching program, we get deeper into it and I actually help the students map it out. But um, for example, when I started out, a podcast felt like it was enormous because of the tech and the microphone and all the jazz. And I was trying to bootstrap the company. A blog didn't feel good to me because it felt like it was going to be it'd take a long time to write it. Back then, I didn't know if ChatGPT was around, I didn't know it existed. So it was just me, just me with the cursor staring at me. And so the blog felt big also because of SEO, having to do the SEO keyword research to really make it pay off. So I thought, okay, I can push a button and I can go live and I can talk to people. So what I did was the system I developed is we have you brainstorm, do a brainstorming session with yourself, visualizing your ideal client. What do they need? What can you give them? What are they wanting? What's the transformation they want? The solutions that they're seeking. And then you sort of brain dump topics that address those problems that are related to your business, topics that are based on the work you do to get those solutions for those ideal clients. And then
Mhm.
we map out one topic per week and we try to do 12 topics because in the strategy that I teach, we take one topic per week, and if you do 12, that's 12 weeks, which is 90 days of content topics. And then you're never hurting each week to know what to talk about because you literally go to that list, whether it's on a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or a notepad and paper or Trello board. You go to that week and you go, okay, this is the topic I'm going to talk about. Then you start by creating that one regular piece of weekly content. So I would look at that topic and I'd say, okay, I'm going to go live on how to gain visibility in other people's Facebook groups, even the ones that don't allow promotion. There's the topic for that week. I'm going to go live. I'm going to talk about it. Then what I did, because I write out all my notes for what I'm going to present, I looked at it and I said, okay, if I gave 4 tips in this short training that I'm doing, I could take each of those tips and create 4 different social media posts about that topic with a call to action to join my free Facebook group or join my newsletter list to get more information, or if I had a blog at that time, go read the blog, which the blog has to be set up for list growth too. But there was a call to action for list growth. And so with that system, you look at that one topic and you write that one thing, whether it's the live notes or the podcast notes of what you want to say on your podcast or your blog. And now with AI, you can take what you mapped out and put it into your favorite AI tool and ask it to help you craft 2 social media posts that week on that topic. Then you pick one of your lead magnets to throw on as a call to action. And you've got enough content to be consistent every single week.
Mhm.
How does that feel doable?
It does. And I think it's funny. Uh, it feels doable. And I have tried systems like this
Yeah.
just in some ways.
Okay.
And what happens is it's like I get to that week and I'm like, I'm not feeling that topic. So I might kind of go down and, right. I'm like, I'm not feeling it. It's not
Yep.
what people are my clients are talking to me about right now. And so I'm like, there's resistance there. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally get it. I felt the same way because I would look at that topic. Here's what would happen to me. I would look at the topic and I would go, ugh, I don't, if I have to talk about that one more time, I think I'm going to puke, right? You're like, I do not want to talk about that. But the problem for me was, and this is maybe the same problem you're facing, is the minute I said, oh, I'll find another topic, I didn't find one. Monday would come, I'd be back at the corporate job or serving clients or whatever, and I had no content for the week. And that's when the consistency wheels fell off the bus. So, what I had to tell myself, I had to have a serious talking to myself with, and remind myself, okay, Tracy Beavers, you're a serious CEO. Your job is to get the content out there because sometimes, Carrie, the content that you do is going to feel like you deserve a gold medal. And other times, the content that you do, you're like, oh, this is not really the best, but we're going to put it out there anyway, right? But you mentioned something interesting. Let me ask you this. So when you're visiting with your clients, are you doing one-to-one sessions? Are you doing group coaching? Are you doing both?
Right now, I'm primarily doing one to one.
Okay, perfect. Are you using an AI note taker on each of those calls?
The nature of our work, I do not record because it breaks rapport, and we're trying to create and nurture safety with the unconscious.
Got it. Is it okay? Go with me for a second. I totally get where you're coming from because the nature of your work is so sensitive. My clients feel that way too because we're talking about their business and we're talking
Mhm.
about the things that went well. We're talking about the stuff that didn't go well. We're talking about sometimes um, personal struggles because it's
Yeah.
keeping them from building the business. So I agree with you that there is a sensitivity nature there. Would it be possible to share with your clients the purpose of the note taker is for Carrie internally to keep the notes. And if that's possible, where I was going with this is you can do what I do. So I have one-to-one clients. I also have obviously my group coaching program, and I use the Fathom Note Taker, the free one.
which is
I,
awesome.
it is. I pull the transcript and I put it into ChatGPT and I say, analyze. First of all, I ask it to analyze it. And it has helped me be a better leader and a better coach because sometimes there's a gap there and I couldn't see it because I was too in the weeds with the questions they were asking. But when I was able to pull back and review it, I was able to see some common themes or some gaps. So that's been really great. But also, I can ask it to give me a couple of lead magnet ideas based on the call. I can
Yeah.
ask it to give me a couple of podcast episodes based on the call. Obviously,
Yeah.
keeping keeping details confidential that would breach confidentiality. Obviously, names, specifics, that kind of thing. And then I also ask it, write me a social media post that would showcase the topic that we talked about, the problem that my client was having, and the solution I provided in this call. And then you just rework it to a little bit more general so that you're not as we say, breaching confidentiality. But then what that would do, Carrie, is it would give you, you could map out topics one per week. But if you're having a week where you look at that topic and you're like, I don't want to talk about that, you still have content you could put out. What would that look like?
Yeah, and Tracy, what's interesting is I told you why I can't record or why I choose not to record, but I've
Mm-hmm.
been feeling this gap and I've been feeling this opportunity to use the conversations because they're fantastic conversations.
Yes.
So I think within the 12-week period of the core work that I do, there comes a time about halfway through when I do think it would be appropriate to record.
Perfect. Okay. So does that sound like something you could do week in, week out to develop a content bank where all you have to do is choose that regular piece of weekly content, be able to allow AI to help you to craft it, and then you have your social media posts?
I think that would be a great asset.
Okay. Also, in the course of a week, what I help my students remember to do, because it's so easy to forget, I've done it a million times. We all have free lead magnets. Most of us offer a free info call to see if one-to-one is the right fit. Some of us have a free Facebook group. Those things, some of us have some ebooks that are like $17, $27. All of those things are what I put in the category of evergreen social media content because they're not really going to change. The lead magnet
Mhm.
is the same, but you could create a couple of different social media posts for each lead magnet if you had a free Facebook group, a couple of different posts about your group, a couple of different posts about booking an info call, and put those in a content bank because it's really important for your audience to see those every single week. So then when you look at your creation for the week, you're going to create that one regular piece of weekly content, whether it's based on a topic you picked or a client call. Then you're going to have AI help you craft a couple of social media posts about that topic or that call. Then if you add in one post about a lead magnet, one post about book a free info call, one post about a free Facebook group if you have one, before you know it, you have a full week of stuff to post and share, but you only wrote one piece.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and I've heard it before. I
Okay.
I love how you're breaking it down and making it more accessible, more doable.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about building with ease and simplicity, and I had to be. I mean, I had to be. I had the corporate job and the kids, and it was crazy pants. Um,
Yeah.
and then from there, what I would, and this is super boring because it's planning, and planning is not sexy, but each week I had to look at the week and say, what is my day to create this content? And I
Mhm.
picked Thursday every week. And there were weeks I didn't feel like it. And there were weeks when I was up late or up early or whatever. but I knew I had to do it. So, is there a day of the week that would lend itself easily to you taking an hour or two? Because once you get in a rhythm, it won't take you very long.
Mhm. Yeah, and honestly, Tracy, I'm not a believer in that yet, but I want to be.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about that for a second? Because we have some time.
Sure. Yeah, I just it's um it feels like a time suck. And what I mean is it's like, okay, you've got the idea and then you're going into Canva and you're making something pretty or aesthetic or something good enough, right?
Hmm.
And then you're crafting the caption, then you're going in and you're posting, and then you're going in and you're engaging, and then you're going in and engaging with engagement, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I need a nap.
Yes. I get it. I get it. Would it help you to think about it this way? That the content for content's sake is just noise, just exhaustion, just like you've said. What I want to shift your mindset on a little bit is content with strategy behind it is going to
Yeah,
bring you list growth and leads and convert buyers faster.
bring it on.
So that's how I've allowed myself to fall in love with the idea of social media, to fall in
Okay.
love with the idea of using a Facebook, as maddening as it feels some days. I People are like, "Why do you love Facebook so much?" And it's like, I don't love it, but I really like it and I appreciate it because it allows me to grow a business. And
Mhm.
so if we could if we could consider falling in love with making sure we're consistent with our content week in, week out, because your audience is waiting to hear from you. And the more you do that, the more that waiting is going to compound. And the more those people are going to start to expect you and appreciate you and want to join your list and want to have DM conversations and want to buy your offers.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's the starting point of the conveyor belt, if you will. Some people call it a funnel. I think conveyor belt is a little easier to see because you get on the conveyor. It's like that walking thing at the airport. You know, the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they call that? I can't remember. It's like a moving sidewalk. So
Yeah.
you're getting on it with your social media content creation and being consistent. And as you are doing that every single week, it's moving you along the belt toward your audience where you're picking up more people and more people and more people and more people. So you get to your
Yeah.
destination faster.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Um, based on what we talked, because I know this conversation is going to help a lot of people. Based on what we talked about, what feels like the first simple shift that you know you need to make and might be willing to make now?
Well, um, I I think what you were talking about was that one piece of content a week. And so deciding on that one piece of content a week.
Hmm.
Now, where I didn't give a little bit of pushback, but if I have time to give a little bit of pushback and see what you say,
Sure.
um, I I talked about the blog, and I
Yeah.
also like the idea of going live.
Hmm.
Um, with the blog, I did start doing Substack and
Uh-huh.
my newsletter. So
Yeah.
my newsletter is consistent, and I found um, they were too close,
Okay.
right? And so my question would be, if you do that one piece of content,
Hmm.
how do you differentiate the newsletter enough so that it feels like you're really talking to your people, right? Because I really want to be in conversation with them and I don't want to be repeating myself. Or maybe it's okay to repeat yourself because not everyone is everywhere.
Sure. Well, you've got your newsletter all set up.
Yeah.
Do you have, what's your open rate?
34%.
Okay. We want it to get a little bit higher, but that's a great open rate.
Okay.
So I would say don't even think about changing anything about the newsletter. Keep it the way it is. What I'm talking about is your regular piece of weekly content and your social media content that you're going to put out on the platform of your choice. So
Okay.
it doesn't sound like to me there's a reason to change your newsletter, unless when you're doing your live, you choose live. The reason why I love live, real quick, I just want to share for the listeners, is because the only ways on social media platforms to reach past that all of the people that are already connected to you, all of your friends, all of your followers, is through either a live or a reel. Those are the only two ways. And so if we truly want to attract new people, that's one of the fastest ways to do it. So that's why I love live video. But what you could do is, if you're going to go live every week, you could just include a little blurb in your newsletter. Hey, this is what I'm talking about live this week. I'll be live at this date and time. Here's the link to join me. Or I went live last week. Here's the video for it. So you could
Do you
take.
go live in your Facebook group or do you go live somewhere else?
So I played around with it. When I first started going live, I was only going live in my group because I thought, well, that'll be an incentive for people to join the group. And it was for a while, and then it wasn't. And so I
Hmm.
switched mine to using a streaming platform. There's several of them out there. There's Restream, Riverside, StreamYard. So, because I wanted to get the most bang for my buck because my time was so limited, and it allowed me to go live on my Facebook personal profile, my Facebook group, LinkedIn, and I think you can go live on Instagram on some of them all at the same time. But if you're talking about just going live in one spot, it depends on what platform you're going to use. Obviously,
Okay.
if you're going to use LinkedIn, you can go live there. I don't know if they have any parameters around if you have to have a certain number of connections or followers. Instagram, you have to have 1,000 followers, or they won't let you go live. And then if you're going to Facebook, I would use your Facebook personal profile. But I would also make sure that that personal profile is set up for list growth, which is yet another strategy that I teach, because
Yeah.
when people are attracted to you and they go to your profile because what you're saying is fabulous, I want them to immediately be able to join your email list.
Okay.
Does that help?
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like you've got a lot of goals in your program.
Well, thank you. It's the strategies that have helped me build this business to the capacity that I have. And the thing that I love about them, and I know it sounds like I'm bragging, but the thing I love about them is they're simple and they're
Hmm.
easy. And once we get you in a rhythm, it's just a matter of finding what Carrie wants to do and is happy doing long term.
Yeah.
And then we just put it into place.
Okay.
Yeah. So is there anything that you're thinking of that you could, I don't want to say the word commit because that sounds super heavy, but that you're thinking about, oh, okay, I think I could work on implementing this in the next couple of weeks.
What I started and what I need to get back to is my content bank,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
have those ideas building and growing,
Mhm.
um, and easily accessible. So when I am tired, but I know I got to do it,
Yeah.
I have something to turn to.
Right. And also, when you get your content bank built up to a certain point, when you have 90 days to 4 months to 6 months worth of stuff, you can start repurposing what you have.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about it, because nobody's going to remember what you did 6 months ago. I mean, I'm not. Okay, Carrie, I have loved this so much. I've got links that I'll have in the YouTube description notes for my YouTubers and over on the podcast in the show notes. I just want to tell you thank you again, because this I know this is on the minds of a lot of listeners. I know for a fact that you're not the only one feeling this way about social media. And so this is
Sure.
really going to help a lot of people.
Good. I'm
Um,
so glad. This has been a great conversation.
Good. Where can everybody find you to connect with you?
So mostly it's Carrie Bakier. So on Instagram, it's Carrie Bakier. On Facebook, it's Carrie Bakier. On LinkedIn, it's Carrie Bakier, and it's carriebakier.com. So there you go.
Perfect. And I want to spell your name really quick for everybody. She spells it Carrie, and Bakie is B like boy, Aquie. Bakie. It's a
Correct.
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful last name. All right, my friends, if you know your business needs more eyes on it, and you know you need more leads coming in, and you need list growth, and you need what Carrie and I talked about today, a system for creating content without losing your mind every single week, and not having to think about paid ads, this is a primary example of what I teach and help my students with deeply in Business Visibility Made Easy, and also with my one-to-one clients. So YouTubers, the good news is for you that my free live masterclasses are open now. You just want to go to tracybeavers.com/masterclass. That link is also going to be in the description notes. I'm doing 4 different sessions, 4 different dates and times to choose from. Because if you're done with trial and error and just throwing things out there and then losing your consistency and coming back to it, come join the masterclass, because I'm going to teach you 4 simple strategies you can implement that day. I'm also going to give you 2 super cool freebies when you show up live. And podcast listeners, hope is not lost. You can go grab your spot on the VIP waitlist. You're going to want to go to tracybeavers.biz/VIP waitlist. And if you have any questions about any of those ways to work with me, just DM me or email me and let's connect. And I know that you hear me say this every single week. I don't want you to do this thing alone. Being an entrepreneur is freaking hard, because some days everybody wants to buy what you're selling and you're sold out. And other days it feels like crickets. You're screaming into the void. Does anybody even remember my name, right? And if you think you're alone, you are not alone. I still have days when I feel like that. I know Carrie has days when she feels like that. So get into a community of support. Come join my free Facebook group. You're going to get more support than you could ever imagine. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, and the links for all of that are in the show notes. I want you to have a great balance of the week and weekend, and I want you to remember that when one of us rises, we all rise. So that is why we have got to keep cheering each other on. And Carrie, thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you so much. So great to be here.